Okay, good morning, class. My name is Ibrahim Adepoju. I'm a software engineer and a data engineer, and I'm going to be handling this practical section for both Interlink Academy, and we're going to be taking a look at big data analysis. We're going to be looking at the practical approach, and in this session, I'll be sharing the presentation PowerPoint to the student via the chat link. And also I'm going to be displaying some pages, but more of my screen is showing the real live practical, the software's installation, the downloads, and all the pages that we're going to be using. So during the training precisely, I'll be presenting my PowerPoint. I'm not done with the presentation point yet. So the first thing is I would like to take you through the course outline of this course for the 3 days of the program. We're going to be focusing on the layers in big data architecture, which I believe that from the theoretical class, you would have been exposed and taught about the big data architecture. We're going to be looking at the data sources. We're going to be looking at data ingest, where we're going to be looking at Kafka. We're going to be we're going to practice the stream analysis with Apache Spark. We're also going to look at batch analysis with MapReduce. We're going to look at data organizing with Apache HBase. Also, we're going to look at HDFS, the Hadoop distributed file system. And we're also going to look at the infrastructure layer, that is the cloud computing. And lastly, we're going to play around data mining, which is the data consumption layer. So all these outlines are going to be distributed between the 3 days, where there's going to be practical exercise, and also there are going to be assignments. So today being the first day of the session, I'll be taking you through how you're going to set up your environment. The environment that we're going to be using throughout this training is Hadoop, and Hadoop is more of a big data and open source platform for big data analysis, where many of the systems that will be used are hosted. All the MapReduce, Kafka, Apache Spark are all hosted on Hadoop. You would have been exposed to the history of Hadoop, how it all started from the Google file system down to Hadoop, and also the development history. So there are 2 ways that we're going to set up our environment for the Hadoop software, Hadoop platform. The traditional or the manual method is using the Atom data platform or Atom sandbox, which you're going to install on your system. And this process is going to take a lot of time because the first thing you will need to do is you will need to download a virtual box on your system. And when you go to virtualbox.org, you will be required to download this VirtualBox 6.1 on your system, which you're going to install. And once you're done installing it, you will come down to cloudera.com and search for Atom's Work Data Platform. You let them know that you want to install it on a VirtualBox. You click on Let's Go, and it's going to take you to the link where you're going to be able to download the Atom's Data Platform. It's more or less like an operating system. And if you see the system, you can see that it makes it easy to get started with Apache Hadoop, Apache Spark, Apache Hive, Apache HBase, Dude, and Data Analytics Studio. The size of these Atom's data, if you to install it locally, is 15 gig. And I'm very sure that if your new students are being told to install what the size of 15 gigabytes, I'm very sure, I don't know how the internet stability is at different locations. Within the 3 days of the session, many students won't be able to have it installed on their system till then. Preferably, I love to work with cloud computing, and we know that in the modern age, a lot of softwares have made themselves accessible over the cloud. So for this session, I'll be using the cloud computing and the cloud installation process to take you through. It's the same thing with the local method, just like in the local method, you have to download the 15 gig software on the system. But in the other modern method, where we'll be using the cloud computing, we're going to be setting up a system on the cloud on our browser, where we're going to install everything and do all we need to do. And our installations will be very fast. That is, we can get 15 gig installed within just 10 minutes or just 5 minutes, because you won't be using your data. The cloud data will be circulating everything around. So for the cloud computing, we're going to be using the Amazon Web Service, known as AWS. So the Amazon Web Service is a kind of cloud computing platform by Amazon, and it gives us the opportunity to have different instances. Like you can run a Windows on it, you can run a Mac on it, you can run any form of operating systems on it where we can utilize, and you don't need to download anything on the system. You perform everything directly from the cloud. So the first thing you need to do now is you need to set up an account on the Amazon Web Service. When you click on sign in, you get down to this page, you see create a new AWS account. And you will be required to provide your email address, your password, and also set up an account name. So you will need to connect one of your credit card to this, and the credit card must have a minimum of $1 in it, which it will be used to verify your account. And once you've signed up and they've been able to remove $1 from it and funded the $1 back, then you have an account. Many of the services on Amazon AWS are paid, but there's a free trial of 12 months, and that is the free trial that we're going to be using for the duration of this course. So once your account has been set up, the next thing you need to do is to log in into your AWS account. So I've registered my account with an email called myonlinetrainingdemo@gmail.com. And once I click next, I'm going to just complete some captcha. All right. Submit, and I'll provide my password. All right. So the moment I provide my password, I'm going to be taken to the dashboard where I can see my Amazon AWS management console. So let me take it once again and take you through what we've been trying to do. Everyone will have the time to do this setup from the SEB, because at this stage, I'm going to pause, and you will be required to take the next 5 minutes or 10 minutes to perform this setup yourself. So as I said earlier, the environment that we're going to be working is HDP, Athons Work Data Platform. And this Athons Work Data Platform is now being managed by Cloudera. So we have two options. It's either we set up a virtual box on our computer by downloading VirtualBox of like 200 megabytes and installing Athons Data Platform of about 15 gig on it. This may affect some people's system because the capability of people's system varies, and might only be just one of you that may have the system that have this requirement with you. So to avoid the stress and the intuition of going through this process, we are going to be using the cloud, meaning that we're going to be hosting our computer on the cloud, and we're going to perform this same installation directly from the cloud. And the cloud system that we're going to be using is AWS, which is the Amazon Web Service. And I've been able to show you how you're going to set up your Amazon Web Service account. So all you need is to have an account with Amazon Web Service, because it's through this account that we're going to be installing everything that we need. So if we come to services, there are many services on Amazon Web Service. You can see compute, you can see developer tools, you can see machine learning, you can see robotics, a lot. So, but we were focusing on compute under EC2. So EC2 is just a computing instance where you can host different image for your computers. We will be using our Linux because we need a Linux to perform our big data activity on Hadoop. So you don't need to start installing Linux or anything in the system. Directly from AWS, we're going to have access to Linux in our browser and do all we need to do. So this is more of the infrastructure layer parts on this in this course where we're talking about the cloud computing. So we're entering the course through that channel. So I'm going to click on EC2. All right. So when I click on EC2, there are different instances. Instances are like computers that are hosted in the cloud. So these instances are different computers on the cloud. If you look at there, if you're a new user, you won't have any instance of your system. But for me, I have an instance called Hadoop One, which I've terminated because environment where you're owning it for your company and your company is handling the billing, you need to terminate your instance to avoid cost accumulation. So for this practical class, for everything that we're going to be doing, if I'm to be billed, my billing won't exceed maybe $2 or $3 just for the 3 days. Looking at the hours that we're going to be using. And I may not be billed at all if you don't really spend more time, but if the computers in the cloud are not free, but they're just saving us a lot of time. Because if your internet is even 500 megabytes, you will install stuff of 20 gig because this storage is not on your own system. So let's launch an instance. An instance, again, as I've said, is like a computer in the cloud, and it can be of different operating systems. It can be Windows, it can be Linux, it can be any operating system that you run. So I'm going to click on launch instance here. I'm launching a new instance, and there are different instances there. You can see Mac OS, different versions of Mac OS. If you want to operate, use a MacBook directly from the cloud without even owning a MacBook. You can see Microsoft Windows servers, several of them. But we're focusing on the Amazon Linux operating system. So we'll be using the 64-bit x86 RAM, and you are going to select this. So once you select this, there's a limit at which you can use this, whereby it's going to be free, and that is when we're trying to use a computer with just one CPU, 1 gig memory RAM. This is very low for big data analysis. So as I've said, we're going to bypass this a little bit, but we're just going to ensure that we always terminate our instance once we're not working on it. So we're going to need anything from 16 gig RAM to perform this and 4 CPU. So that is what we're going to be subscribing to. As I've said, I don't know the number of people here that we have 16 gig RAM currently to be able to work flexibly in this course. So as a solution to that, we're going to be working directly from the cloud. So I'm going to select TC2, TC2 large, that's 16 gig RAM, which is moderate enough for our activity. Then I'm going to click next. Everything here is configuration of your instance. You don't need to focus more on this. You just leave it as already be configured so far you've selected the operating system that you need. So the next thing we do is we add our storage. You know, there's a difference between your RAM size and your storage size. The RAM is the memory of your computer. We're working with a 16 gig memory computer here, but we also need the storage. So for this course now, you're looking at the setup we're going to be doing. If you're in a corporate environment, you might be dealing with even up to 1,000 gig or 1 terabyte. But we don't want to be accruing a lot of budget or consumption here. So we just subscribe to, let's say, 50 gig size. That is the size of our computer space. We subscribe to 50 gig. And once this has been done, the next thing we need to do now is to move to add tags. So these tags are just key and values that we can always use to monitor or track any instances that we've created. Maybe you want to create a lot of instances on the long run. So this is always helpful in that case. So let's add the tag. I'll just give this a name. And the value, I will call it my Hadoop Hadoop class. So let me just say Hadoop class 2. All right. So the next thing I'll do is I'll configure my security group. So now the reason why we're configuring a security group is big data is performed initially through a Linux operating system where you just be seeing a bunch of lines of code. But we need a web interface where we can access our system. And we need a URL for that, or maybe let me call it an IP address. So we need to set up a security IP address that we can easily use to access our computer from another browser. I can send my link to anyone to access my computer anywhere they are and perform any activity for me so far they are in different ports. So the security group you're going to select here is going to be all TCP, and also your source should be my IP. So because your instance has its own IP, so anything we want to be doing, we want it to be taking it directly from our instance IP. So this is very important. And once this has been done, the next thing you do now is you review and launch. All right, so Amazon is telling me that every setup I'm doing is beyond my pre-usage area. Yeah. Nonetheless, we need a powerful system to operate. So we're going to proceed as many of the charges are maybe $0.0096 per hour. So a launch. Now, as I'm expected to launch, I was told that I need to create a key. So what is a key? So this key pair is that I need to find a way whereby I can communicate with this cloud computer directly from my computer. And for me to communicate with this cloud directly from my computer, I need a key. And that key that I need is the key that I'm going to generate now. So I'm going to create a new key here, and I will call this key Hadoop, uh, Hadoop class 2. Hadoop class 2. So I need to download this key to my system. So the key pair has been downloaded to my computer because that key is the file, is an RSA file, and it's like a gateway or the security pass between my system and the system in the cloud. So I'll be operating the system in the cloud from my system, but this key is going to be like the gateway between the two. So the next thing we need to do is to launch our instances. So launching our instances is like launching our computer, and we said that your instances are launching. Let me click on it here. All right, so it's showing pending, means the instance is still launching. So version browser. All right, Hadoop class 2 is now running, and it's initializing the check. All right, so this is like one part of this session where we're going to be setting up our environment. Initially, what we've been doing now, we could have been doing it by trying to download Linux. Linux could be like 8 gig, partitioning your system to support Linux, and every other thing. But we've bypassed that by using the cloud directly and set up a Linux system for ourselves on the cloud. So the next thing we're going to take a look at again is now how can we start installing our Hadoop. The status check is initializing. I'm waiting for the status check completed, and currently the instance is running. I just want the status check to be completed and install Hadoop and download Hadoop to it. And once you're able to download Hadoop to it, we're going to launch our Hadoop environment, and we're going to be able to see the Kafka, see the Apache Spark, see the map Redux, everywhere, all the systems that we're going to be needing, all the clusters that we're going to be needing, we're going to see them. And then we're just going to do a little practical by importing data into IDU and just running a little query on the data. So that just all this demo is going to be for today. So let's wait for this. All right, so 2 of 2 checks passed. So the system has been initialized and is ready. So the next thing you need to do is you need to come to a checkbox behind it here, and we click connect. All right, so there's 2 ways I can connect. I can connect using the EC2 instance connect, whereby I want to use a terminal on the cloud directly to access it. But there are variations. Sometimes if you're in Africa, this might work. Sometimes this might not work. So currently now it's not working. So we're going to use the option of SSH client. So this SSH client means you're going to connect directly from your computer. So if you're using a Windows, on Windows we have what we call CMD, the command prompt, and on macOS we have terminal. So the terminal is just like a command line interface, something like this. So here's the terminal from my, oh, you can see it. All right. So let me share my terminal screen. Okay, cool. So here is the terminal, and it's more of a command line interface. You have something like this also on Windows. So this is where we're going to initiate. We're going to start working and doing all our installations. We're going to be calling some command keys, and all these keys are going to be provided for you in the PowerPoint, where you can easily copy and paste them to use and take you through all the flow. So it's through this interface that my computer is going to be communicating with the cloud computer. And How do we go about that? So the first thing we're going to do now is you remember that I tried to download my key on my system. So it's going to be available inside a folder called downloads on my MacBook. If you are using a Windows, it's going to ask you the folder where you want to download, and you need to take note of the folder where your key is downloaded. So anything you're going to be doing must be inside the folder. So there's something we call CD. CD is just something, is a command that gives you the opportunity to enter a particular directory on your system. So if I click ls, ls is listing all the directory on my system. I can see that I have directory called application, development, library, pictures, creative clouds, documents. So I'm interested in the directory called downloads. So if you type cd and you put downloads, so it means enter the directory called downloads. So I've entered my download directory. If I click ls, it's going to show me all the directories on my download. Wow, they are very huge. But I'm looking for a file which I put inside it, and the name of the file I call it Hadoop class 2. So this is the file, this is the key. So far the key is available here, it means I can operate directly from this place. So the point is just that your key must be available inside, so I can run clear everything back. So now I'm inside my downloads folder. You can see it here. I'm inside the downloads folder of my system. So once I'm inside the downloads folder of my system, the next thing I need to do now is to go and copy the command from AWS that is going to make it possible for me. So this is the command. They said if I paste this SSH, this command inside my terminal, it's going to give me access to my environment and my instance in the cloud. So I'm going to copy this. I'm going to come back to my terminal. So if you are using a MacBook, you need to put in type sudo. Sudo is like a security command that telling you that you want to access the admin route. In Windows, it requests for admin access, but many Windows users are already in the admin environment, so you just need to paste it directly. But on macOS, I'll put sudo first, then I'll paste the code. So it's going to tell me to enter my MacBook password. So are you sure you want to continue connecting? Yes. Type yes, enter. Warning. All right, good. So now it shows me EC2, Amazon Linux 2 AMI. So I'm inside an Amazon Linux environment for my local computer, but the environment is not on this computer. It's not downloaded on this computer. I've not consumed even 2 kilobytes of my Windows yet, of my computer yet, but the system is on the cloud. So directly from this terminal, I'm communicating with the system on the cloud. So now we've set up a Linux environment. So the next thing you need to do now is like Hadoop is about 15 to 20 gig. Yeah, the size is about 15 to 20 gig. And you need to find a location to download it. But because I use it randomly most time, I already have it in my GitHub repository. The GitHub is like a place where you keep your codes and store them. So my GitHub username is TechClown, and I have the Hadoop, the AutumnWorks GitHub platform, the sandbox for AWS. I already have it updated in my GitHub repository, which gives me access to download it anytime I need it. And I'm going to share this link with you also, which you can also connect this and also have access to anytime you want to use it. And I have the 2 versions here with me. I have the 2.65 version and I have 3.01 version. We're going to be working with the 2.65. The 3.01 is a new version and it's been merged with Cloudera, and it has a lot of limitations. Looking at many of the packages have not yet been updated into it. So, but the latest and the most active one is the 2.65, which still belongs to Atom's work, and this is the version we're going to be using. So the question now is how do we get started? So you need to first check if JIT is available in the terminal. So as I said, JIT is just a code repository, but you need to have it on your system. So if JIT is installed, you need to check if JIT is installed on your system by just typing JIT here. So it said command not found. So for command not found, I need to install JIT. And the command we use to install JIT, we just type sudo yum install. So Yum is also a package manager on Linux general, and install it. Sudo Yum should install JIT for me. So Yum should install JIT for me. Enter. All right. So it's running the JIT installation. It's done. If I'm to be installing this on my system, it might take 10 minutes, but it's directly from the cloud. So internet to internet, machine to machine. So it's a fast communication over there. So if I type JIT now and I click enter, so it shows me that I now have JIT. I clear and I type JIT again. So can you see? It's bringing us information about JIT, meaning that JIT has been installed on this system. So now that JIT has been installed, the next thing you need to do is you need to clone the Hadoop the HDP project, the HDP software, the sandbox from this. So from this my repository, I will be sending the link to you also. So when you open the link, you come to code and you click on this icon to copy the repository because you're going to be cloning the repository. So I click on it. Good. So it has been copied. So once this has been copied, you return back to your terminal. And from your terminal, you are going to type git clone, Control V. I use Control V to paste the link. This link, I will send it to you. So once I send this link to you, you just need to just type the command git. Git has been installed. So git is cloning. Git clone this folder on my Linux. So click enter. Awesome. So if I click ls list, so it's telling me now that I have the folder HDP sandbox on my Linux. So the next thing I need to do now is I need to enter the folder cd, enter the directory called HDP-sandbox. The spelling should be the same spelling with the folder AWS. Awesome. List. So these are all the files inside the AWS sandbox. Remember I showed you these two on the URL. Cool. So now that we have this, then the other environment we need to install now is Docker. So here we have Docker SH. So we need to install Docker on our system. This Docker, if you have to be installing it on your personal computer, we're still consuming like additional 725 megabytes. So, but here I'll just install, the Docker is already in this is in this folder that I'm giving you access to, just like having access to 30 gig folder that you just retrieve now. So next we just write bash with then you type install bash install docker docker.sh. All right, so that's installing Docker for me. Okay, so it take a few minutes. Awesome. So Docker has been installed, and once Docker has been installed, we can type something like let's say Docker info. Oh, it gives me an error. So me having an error tells me that Docker has been installed here, but I need to restart my environment. So as a result of that, let me return back to this page and restart my terminal. So I'm going to close my terminal and launch it again. Good. So let me share the screen back with you. Awesome. So this is the screen. So I'm restarting my terminal again now. And I'm going to go to my downloads directory where the key is. Because if I try to start or paste the command from AWS in a directory where I do not have my key, it's going to give me an error. So see the downloads. So I'll go back to my download where my key is, and I'm going to go down to AWS and copy the command again. And I'm going to type sudo paste the SSH command from AWS. Enter. I'll enter my system password. All right, so my Linux environment has been launched again. So I'll just type docker info to see if my Docker is installed. Awesome. So my Docker is now installed and powerful. So Docker could have been on your system also. could have installed Docker instead of the VirtualBox because there are different options. So could have installed Docker because if you look at the explanations that I made there, under the manual setup method, if you come to this Cloudera website, it will tell you the installation type. You want to use the VirtualBox, the VMware, or a Docker. So we're using Docker directly on AWS. So you can also use Docker, but it will still consume some stuff for you. But VirtualBox could have been easier if you're doing it directly from the system. So, but they are the same thing. You want to install all of them. VirtualBox, you're going to install it with a visible interface. Yeah, a good UI interface. But Docker, we install it via command line, just you've done it from our AWS Linux environment. So now we have our Docker done section, or let me say part 2 of the environment setup has completed. Now it's time to bring in the main guy in, and that is the Hadoop itself. So let me look at my LS. Okay, I still have my HDP sandbox here. So you enter your HDP sandbox, my HDP sandbox, iPhone, AWS. All right. Let me just tell you one thing is that this is the environment setup, and environment setup is a foundation knowledge. We've not started analyzing our big data, but before you can work on big data, the reason why it's very difficult for anybody to just start working on big data on their system is because setting up the environment is not easy. Maybe you might need a very big system, a big RAM, although we solved that problem by introducing it to the cloud infrastructure which we're using now. So this environment setup is the primary thing that you need to know how to do. And the moment you're able to do this, every other thing is going to be a playground. So now I'm going to CD inside the package I downloaded, that is HDP Sandbox AWS. Then once I seed into it, LS, I want to see all the LS, I want to see all the files inside it, HTTP 2.65, HTTP 3.01. Cool. So we're going to enter our HTTP 2.6.5 because that is the Autonomous Data Platform version that we want to work with. Cool. Now I'm inside it. Then the next thing I need to do now is to deploy Docker. The Docker that we've installed before. So I'll type bash deploy bash Docker. Where I'm saying this thing, anything you see .sh is something that I can bash and use to install. So this is exactly what I'm typing again. So I'm just calling bash. Bash is just like a terminal command that will just initiate the installation of it. So Docker iPhone deploy iPhone HTTP 265.xh. Cool. Yeah, so if you look at what we're downloading here, we're downloading a file of about 20 gig directly from the cloud. The interesting thing is this file is not being downloaded into my computer. It's being downloaded into my instance on the cloud. If you look at here, you'll be seeing 5.4 gig here, 1.47 gig, 728 megabytes. So a lot of files have been downloaded now. So the question now is like, this should have been the file that you'll be installing on your system. When you get started, maybe when you get to 4 gig, your internet run down, you start over again. And day 1 of the course, I've not been able to install Docker. Day 2, I've not gotten HTTP. Day 3, I've not gotten this. And some people spend a week because you need access to this and to this cool internet. But now we're in the modern age, cloud computing is there, so there's no need to worry yourself. My system space is still intact. My system RAM, my system is not hanging because everything I'm running is using a very powerful computer in the cloud to perform the activity. So this is going to take a few minutes, and it's going to download everything about Atom's data platform. All the 15 or 20 gig size will need to be downloaded within the next 3 minutes. So we just wait for it. Even the cloud could be very fast, but they also use a computer out there. So their computer is speed, but it's also downloading. This downloading is not consuming my internet. What my internet is using is maybe 2 kilobytes just for me to remain online, see the progress. if my system should turn off now and I come back to this place, the download is still running. And if it is completed, I'm going to be doing what I need to do. I'm just saying the progress here, but everything is happening behind in the background. All right. So once this download done, that's all we install Hadoop. So when we're talking about environment setup and installing our Hadoop, this is the last stage of it where we download the file. And once the file is downloaded, the next thing we do now is to project a dashboard, our analytics dashboard. Just like now you see a web interface that you are used to. Somewhere you can now start working with your mouse, like a software at the end of the day. Import data, run this cluster, display this graph, evaluate this. So that will be the next thing, but we need to just be very patient. This process during the real class is going to be available in a PowerPoint. PowerPoint, I'm still prepared working around that. The student will have access to it where they can go to again. And I believe we're also recording the video. I don't know if the students will have access. So even during their free time, they can rewatch because there might be a need to rewatch this process like 2 or 3 times. Yeah. All right, I think the last 7 gig is downloading. Okay, 4.9 gig, 5 gig. Okay, this is not MTN or Airtel network. So, right, 5.7 gig. I just wish anyone could have the experience of installing it. I don't know, maybe some people are using super fast network there, but I don't know. But in Nigeria, I don't think the speed could have been very fast like this. But all right. Oh, there's still one. Oh, there's still another 7 gig. Wow. All right, let's just be patient. Normally, I think this flow is expected to take 1 hour to discuss and about another 30 minutes for discussion. So spend like close to 40 minutes. Let's wait for this to start finish. And we're all going to be happy. Now, I know many people don't like this interface. Even many programmers don't like this type of screen. So don't worry, we're going to get out of this screen as soon as possible. Okay? All right, I think it's done. Yippee, yeah. So we're cool. Congratulations. Everything is done and it's working. So for me to check whether the environment is active, I'll just type Docker PS, Docker PS. So if you're able to see a screen like this that show you Sandbox HDP, congratulations. It means Hadoop Atom's work data platform has been installed. Our Hadoop is already configured. Um, so the next thing we need to do now is to visit our dashboard and start working. All right. For the meantime, I think I can close my terminal. So let's return back to our web interface. So I'll come back to my AWS dashboard. I'll go to instances. So remember, this is my instance, Hadoop class 2. This is the computer in the cloud using an extra large memory capacity, and it's being hosted in the United States East, US East region. That is where it's being hosted. And the status check is two is passed. So in case the system is not running or is malfunctioning, I will know from here. And AWS do the normal auto check. Many organizations, bank, and big companies, I believe, use Amazon Web Service to host their computers in the cloud, stable server speed, and not always very fast network. So this is the computer. So the next thing we need to do now is we need to access our Hadoop via the web browser. So we are now accessing Hadoop on our system. So to do that, you need to copy your public IP. These are public IP. This is like a URL or a domain name that can give us access to this computer in the cloud. So Control C, we're going to copy it. I'm going to come to a browser. Let's close this. Come to our browser and Control V. I'm going to paste it. Then you're going to put a port. So our Hadoop is running on port 8080. And the web interface that we're using is called Ambari. So I believe this is also in the theoretical section. So this Ambari is like a web platform that allows you to manage all the Hadoop environment. It's developed by a team, the Ambari team, that gives you a web interface to manage everything. So if I paste this, my port, and I put column 8080. So I'm taking it to port 8080. And once I load this, all right, cool, awesome. So now we are on the Ambari because the Ambari has been installed through the Atom Data Network on our instance on our computer, and it's hosted on port 8080. So entering port 8080 through my IP will take me to the Ambari dashboard. And everything we're going to be doing from day one, day two, every Hadoop clusters, HDFS, everything we're going to be needing, you're going to be also be needing personally to perform big data analytics. We'll be operating directly from this place. If we have 1 TB data, then you need to know you're going to upgrade your instance to up to like maybe 2 TB, and you'll still be able to perform analytics on that data. So you don't need to be afraid of, oh, how can I do big data analytics with my computer with 2 GB RAM or this? No, we can work directly from the cloud. So there's a default password, which is Maria_dev. That is the username on Ambari default. And many of us are always using this. Don't need to change it. So you don't change it. It's like a default. You can see it from their documentation. That's very new. So the username and password is Maria_dev. So sign in. All right. I don't need to save this password. Loading. Awesome. So I'm on the web dashboard of Ambari, and everything Hadoop is going to be operating here. So if you look at this sidebar, you're going to see HDFS. You can see HDFS here. You can see now here. You can see MapReduce. I believe that from the theory class, you're able to know that we have what we call the data ingest, bringing in your data, and we also have what we call the data consumption, utilizing your data. So within the few minutes, you're going to be patient for everything to install. Be patient for the installation to complete. It's just going to launch all these tools for you. So we have the MapReduce screen now. It is available. Okay, we have the Kafka here. It's also available. We have our Spark 2. It's also available. Awesome. So everything we're going to be in HBase. Yeah, HBase is here. So let's just wait for everything to give us the green lights. So everything is starting. We need the Hive. The Hive is like the Hive is more of a view to visualize our data for data visualization. So there's the Hive. Okay, so my HDFS disk usage. So when we're creating this, I started with I think I started with 250 gig. Yeah. So I think I've consumed 45% of the gig space. All right. Consume like 55 to 12%. All right, so we have our data nodes, the information. Theory session, I know you must have been introduced to name node and data nodes. So we're going to play around them here. All right, so Flum has not started. So I'll just wait for everything to start. Maybe load and see. So I want the hive to start so we can play around data. Um, okay, so I'm just waiting for all the dashboard to come in. All right, so we're going to play around big data, data from old age, but you know, data is very expensive. Data is the new oil, so we just need to find the free data on the internet that we can play with. And for this course, we are going to be using data from movies, old movies down to maybe recent age, maybe movies from 1970s down to 1990. So to get free movies data, we're going to go to movieslens.org. So movieslens.org, they have a data repository of movies, and we are going to come to the group lens research, their research page where they keep where they store most of their data. And here we have social computing research at the University of Minnesota. Okay, let me look at the data sets. Let me look at data sets. So need the data sets of movies. Awesome. So older data sets. So we need the older data sets. This is a data set of, it contains 100,000 ratings from 1,000 users on 1,700 movies. So these data sets are just 5 MB. So you can easily download that on your system. We see how instance I'm using is 16 gig. The bigger the data, the bigger the computers that is going to be demanded. So let's download this data, the ML 100K zip. So you download this data, is a zip file, 5 MB. You download it on the system. So what's up with Ambari? Okay, I think all my Ambari systems are up. One alert here. What is the alert?